All right, so as I mentioned, today is the last talk in our series that we've been talking about marketing your yoga teacher training. So it's both the last talk about marketing and sort of the segue into what we're going to be talking about next month in November. So it's a topic that I really feel is important, and I love talking about this in yoga teacher training, my yoga teacher training classes, and it is just as important to us yoga trainers to understand and to really just acknowledge this particular thing. And then at the end of the talk today, I've got some news to share with you that I'm excited to share with you as well. So that's going to be some additional resource for you as we go starting into 2019, if you can believe it, that it's already the end of the year. The topic today is about finding your training's unique voice. And so what does that mean exactly? So every teacher, every studio, every yoga business, every business has a uniqueness about it, right? There's something that makes it different from every other place, every other business in the world, right? So as it relates to yoga teacher training, there is something that makes your yoga teacher training very unique. You may be teaching hot yoga, just like the studio down the street is teaching hot yoga. You may be teaching hatha classes. You may feel like what you're offering is very similar. However, there is something very unique about the way you teach, the way you present your classes, that is different from the studio down the street. Now, your students, the people who already attend your classes, already inherently know this. And it's very likely that you already inherently know what what makes your studio unique. But then what you need to do is to translate that into your marketing message. You need to use that uniqueness to be able to clearly communicate to your current students, to people who are trying to learn about you, into how you're communicating with them. You need to turn that into your marketing message. And I know as yoga teachers, that's really kind of your first love in a lot of cases, right? And it's not about the marketing. And so when you are feeling like all your marketing is focused on just your next pricing promotion, oh look, we've got a special going because it's November, it can get a little tiring. And after a while, it's your students, people who are trying to learn about you, will kind of tune out because they're really not learning anything about you, about your studio, what makes your studio or your teaching, your teacher training unique. You're just sort of talking about price. And when people come to yoga, they really want to know what your teaching is about. So getting clear about what your training's voice is in particular will help you, get clear about your studio's voice perhaps, or maybe you're very clear about your studio's uniqueness and you share that, but when it comes to your yoga teacher training, you're a little less sure. So the challenge, I think, for all of us is that while we may have ideas, we may be very, very clear in our head about how we are unique, how our teacher training is unique, sometimes we're afraid to share that or to make our marketing and our marketing message so focused because we're afraid we're going to eliminate customers. We're afraid that our business is going to shrink because now we've focused too small on our message. When in reality, what ends up happening is when you are trying to be everything to everybody, you yourself can feel it, right? the way you speak about your business, the way you're communicating with your customers becomes very sort of haphazard and really disjointed and confusing. So when people are trying to learn about you, when your students are perhaps trying to be more involved, maybe by moving from a student to a trainee in your yoga teacher training, they're a little bit confused about what it is. Why should they go to your training instead of the training down the street? It's the same thing for your yoga studio. Why would someone want to come to your studio versus the studio down the street if you both offer, for instance, hot yoga classes, right? This is where being clear about what you offer and what makes yours unique is really going to benefit you. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to eliminate classes or that you should narrow what you offer at your studio. It simply means that you want to be very clear about what makes your training unique. In this case, right? We're talking about studios and training, but what makes your teacher training unique? It might be your teaching methodology, the way you teach, what you find important about teaching yoga. And that is definitely something that's going to make your training different than the training down the street. It might be you're an expert in something related to your teacher training, like yoga anatomy. Are you an expert in something from a previous profession you had that will make your training different than the training down the street? All of these things, when you get very clear about them, will actually draw students in to your training versus the training down the street when you get very clear about it. So this doesn't mean, again, that you've canceled classes because they're maybe outside something you find very clear. All it means is that your message becomes very clear about the pieces of your training that are unique to you. So, as you market your teacher training, find your training's voice. Get very clear about it. And as I mentioned at the beginning, we are going to be talking about this all through the next month, all through the coming 4 videos, so that you can get very clear as you start marketing your training for perhaps for 2019. You will get very clear about how you can communicate your training's unique voice. It will set you free in many ways because you will be communicating something very authentically and very much the way you feel about it and things that you know. So it will come across much clearer, much more confidently, and it will come through as you start talking to trainees that you know from your studio, perhaps they're current students, and as we talked about this month, those people who don't yet know about your training, but perhaps are searching for it. So it will be very clear to them what makes you unique, and they can very clearly decide if your training is for them. All right, so get ready for November. We're going to be going through 4 sessions very specifically about finding your training's unique voice. And so as we close this out, I also wanted to let you know that next week I'm going to be announcing dates for my next upcoming yoga teacher training in 2019. My 2018 session wraps up here in a few weeks, and I'm going to start marketing and communicating about my training in 2019. And as I come across new learnings as I market, which I frequently do, I'm going to be sharing those here as we go through all of these topics that we're talking about related to your yoga teacher training. I'm going to be sharing with you the experiences I am going to now be going through at a new location for my yoga teacher training. So basically, in a lot of ways, starting from scratch. And so if you are starting from scratch in 2019 with your yoga teacher training, you can learn right along with me. But I'll be sharing those with you in these Facebook Live events. So stay tuned, and I hope you're enjoying these. If you are watching this from the Yoga Tree Consulting page, go ahead and scroll to the top of the page where you can join the Yoga Trainers Tribe group. And in that group, I'll be answering any questions that you have about this video or any of the previous Facebook Live events that I've posted. So join there and join the conversation about yoga teacher training. All right, this is Julie Chavanagh with Yoga Tree Consulting and Yoga Trainers Tribe. I hope you have enjoyed this. I hope this has been helpful for you, and we will see you next Tuesday. All right, take care.